Force be with you.
Hello and welcome back to the Gonk Droid Fan Club podcast. Today we're going to be discussing A New Hope. I am your host, Wesley Hutton, and today I'm here with...
Eli Lucas.
And your co-host, Jackson Heck.
Heck yeah.
Don't say that ever again. Banned from those words. Forever. Anyway, today we are talking about...
A New Hope.
Star Wars.
Yes.
Don't call it A New Hope, please. It is
What?
Star Wars. The original Star Wars. The first Star Wars.
But we must
Where it all
clarify.
Where the legend began. Where this franchise began. I'm out of
You're out of words.
It's truly a classic in cinema
Space
history. It
opera.
truly influenced the genre of science
Sci-fi.
fiction. Yeah,
Totally.
and it's been about 40-ish years since it came
43
out,
almost.
and it's
So that means it's
Still
42.
Yes.
which is
Ew.
intriguing. One of the things I find most intriguing about these films are how they're still iconic and they're 40 years old, and there's still little children screaming about them. And they're such good films made for children, but they're still popular. They're still iconic, and they've still had an impact, and that's quite impressive for a film that's lasted this long. It's also quite impressive considering how much this film could have been a complete failure in production-wise. It obviously had its problems.
There's
And-
a thin line between life and death. That's
Yeah.
where Star Wars was.
It was very close to being an absolute failure. And when you think about it, it's surprising because it's a film that at its core is about a farmer who goes on a journey to become a space wizard, which use glow sticks. And they're fighting off this large galactic empire, which somehow have remained in power all these years, despite the fact that they suck at being an empire.
And aiming.
And aiming, yes, but also just at being an empire. Like, they go, oh, we've made this giant station, and it can wipe out entire planets, but we also put this little vent right there, so that way anyone can just come through and bada bing, bada boom.
Well,
it's
actually, though,
goodbye.
that was put there by Galen Erso.
That is true.
Oh, don't you love it when Disney has to try and solve plot holes in films by making prequel films? Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous how none of them found. It's kind of ridiculous.
I don't
And
know.
also kind of ridiculous that it happened twice.
Yeah.
And the second time, you could even argue it was easier. Because all they had to do was go into the Death Star, into the vent of it, and then just blow up the core. And it's not like there was anything defending it. It's just, oh, look, here's a core. Blow it to smithereens. Yay, the galaxy's saved. Again. My point is, the Empire is kind of pathetic. And if I'm to be honest, I know I said the same about the Separatist Alliance, but I'd argue that the most successful antagonists in this entire franchise were actually the First Order. One, they completely wiped out the New Republic and actually succeeded in their mission, unlike what the First Order did, and were very, very close to completely annihilating the Resistance and completely winning the war. Very close. But the Empire, yes, I get maybe back then they were intimidating, and you had Darth Vader, this this giant hulking metal cyborg thing, and yeah, he's pretty intimidating. But the Empire and themselves are kind of pathetic. Just my opinion. But yeah, I quite like this film, and I quite like the other films. But I think I've ranted on long enough about it. So, what about your opinions? I will judge you harshly, as always.
I don't know. I would agree that this is indeed a cinema classic. I looked it up when I was starting to watch it today. It's released on May 25th, 1977. So almost exactly 43 years. And that just obviously compared to the newest trilogy and even the 1 through 3 prequels, the special effects are very much lacking. But I think where those lack, the story makes up for it. That where I think people knock the first movies of series too much for a lack of lore, where there's really no opportunity to build that because they don't know where the series is gonna go. And so I don't know. I think it's worthy to be admired. And that, I mean, obviously I tried to watch it as a person who had never watched it before, that not knowing who Darth Vader is or knowing about Obi-Wan and the Clone Wars, stuff like that. But I think it's always good, and that for me, it'll always be one of my favorites because it's the first one I've ever watched. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of touched my heart, if you will.
Oh, that's... Yeah. I'd say it's definitely a key turning point for science fiction cinema. It's definitely not my favorite sci-fi movie, though.
No.
Like, there's many others released far after this, even before this, that I'd consider to be much more higher in quality. But I do find it intriguing how this is one that's commonly known by everyone and has stood the test of time.
Right. This may be a little off topic, but what do you guys think really makes a good sci-fi movie? Like, what are the qualifications to make a good sci-fi movie?
It needs to be realistic, but it can't be too realistic. About it.
Wait.
It depends. See, what I
like Star Wars, it was realistic. Like
in regards,
it looked realistic. It felt realistic. Like you felt like it could actually have happened a long time ago.
Sure.
But then in some corner of your mind, this never really happened. But as a younger child, I never really wanted to believe that.
It's, in my opinion,
flashbacks.
It depends on what you're blending the science fiction genre with. Because for Star Wars, it's a sci-fi space opera. So it has it's supposed to have this dramatic conflict-filled story, and it certainly has that. And but I would argue you could blend the sci-fi as a setting, because with that as a genre you can do many of weird things, but if you just you kind of need to take that and blend it with another type of genre,
right?
And then depending on what that is, you could I think Star Wars is successful in what it tries to do, but
I would agree.
So would I. So, what did you think about the plot of this movie?
I think it's very simplistic at its core. That it kind of follows the model of a lot of movies, not even just in science fiction. It's like, okay, young, angsty teenager / young adult wants to get out of the place he's been stuck his whole life. He feels oppressed. All of his other friends are going and doing cool things at the Starfighter Academy, and that he meets a crazy old man who wants to teach him a new style of life. And then everything he held dear was ripped away. So he goes and follows him on a crazy adventure across the galaxy and saves the rebellion. I think it's it depends. Like, for some, it could just resemble a children's movie almost. The way it's so simple. At this point, there's no lore factoring into the movie. So some could find it bland. Like, if I didn't know anything about Star Wars, or if this was the only movie, I think at this point it would have lost its flair.
Yes.
But overall, for the time period and for the first installment of a series like this, I think it has a good plot.
Yeah. I think that the scenes we get of Luke Skywalker, I think the one of my favorite moments of this scene is actually the very beginning. When the Empire is boarding that Rebel cruiser. The reason I enjoy that scene so much is it's so effective at setting the tone for pretty much this entire trilogy. And you don't really, again, like you said, you don't really get a complicated plot surrounding it. You just get the feeling that, hey, there's this threat that these rebels who are on a mission need to deal with, and they're constantly and they're quite powerful. And it sets the tone for a much bigger conflict that we'll see portrayed in the other films. And then after that scene, you get a much different scene on Tatooine, in which you have, again, like you said, the character of Luke Skywalker, who has a desire, who has dreams, but is held back by his family, who give constant excuses for why he should just stay there. But that's not what he wants. He has dreams, and it does follow a core theme of many fantasy stories of people who want to go on journeys and strive for bigger things, and then a certain event occurs in which they must go on an adventure of sorts. In a sense, Star Wars is the ultimate coming-of-age story. I mean, the trilogy as a whole.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, so concerning Luke's life on Tatooine before the arrival of the stormtroopers, I'm wondering how. I was a little lost on how, like, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, like, how much they really know. That obviously Obi-Wan tasked them with taking care of Luke, and after Luke and Leia were split up at their birth. But, like, they exchange a few glances when he mentions Ben Kenobi. Just wondering how much they really know about this whole ordeal.
Yeah. You want to know my answer, my response?
I do.
We'll never know. Because they died, they got burned alive, they're dead, we'll never know. They were never that important because they got cooked. Tasty. That's odd. That's an oddly dark scene too. Like you see a full display of their burnt skeletons.
Yeah.
I don't remember that scene as a kid, but then rewatching, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But that's a fun little addition. You also this is I'd argue this is probably the most gory of the films too, because you also get that scene in which Obi-Wan chops off the arm of that guy, and you get to see the blood spilling out of his.
I don't know. Does it rival Revenge of the Sith in gore?
What gore does Revenge of the Sith have?
I mean, does it show Count Dooku getting his head chopped off?
Yes, you can see it roll.
You don't get to see it in all its glory.
Oh,
You don't get to see the dismemberment. And then when Anakin loses his legs
yeah,
again,
like he's
just
being
burnt
actively burnt alive.
you don't see the flesh. You don't see it melting off. You don't.
Yes, you do.
You see him on fire.
That's the same thing.
That's not gore. You just see him on fire.
How was that not?
I'm gonna get a good look at what's happening to his body as he's slowly burning alive.
Yeah.
Do you want Star Wars to be rated R?
I don't think you want that answer.
Okay, his
I do have
legs
an
get
idea.
chopped off, and then he's burning.
Mm.
I'd say it's very gory. And then you have all the
someone's got a
stormtroopers
recipe in mind.
turning on the Jedi. Like, if you're judging it on themes, it's very much more gory than New Hope. But
Fine, I guess.
Then what do you guys think about the ending of A New Hope?
I stopped watching it today right before the award ceremony.
Give the Wookiee a medal. Give him a medal for crying out loud. He deserves it. He
Well, he
didn't
got
get a
one.
medal until
Did get
Rise of Skywalker, which wasn't even a movie I liked, so that annoys me, but that'll be for a different day.
So, like, why didn't he get a medal? I'm confused.
Because maybe the rebellion's racist against Wookiees.
Oh my.
You know, I realized that if the Empire themselves weren't racist, they would have won the war.
Explain.
Well, okay, so you know how the Empire, every single one of the people you see working for them are all human.
And most of them are white.
The rebellion has a mix of alien species.
Yes.
You have to consider that if those alien members of those alien species were chosen, they're probably very good at specific tasks. Like you have Admiral Akbar, a majority of him and the people related to him biologically are very good at commanding ships.
The only reason he was hired was for his voice. Come on, man.
I mean, his species lives on a water planet. What is he gonna do?
I don't know. But the rebellion has the assistance and support of quite a few alien species if they were to join them, and so they have an advantage because they have a very mixed army. And so there's different tactics, different specialties you could use. The Empire, a majority of them are human, and as we see, a majority of them suck at being soldiers in battle.
Yeah.
Also, though, maybe they shouldn't have killed off most of the Wookiees.
Oh yeah,
Tamed them.
Wookiees.
They could have tamed them.
If you had Wookiees as soldiers, you would have very good advantage. Because as we've seen, they're very durable. Like, even blaster shot, one single blaster shot doesn't just knock them out, which apparently for stormtroopers it does, even though their armor's supposed to be really good. And also, they're incredibly strong, so they could probably just punch the enemy's vehicles.
They probably wouldn't even fight for much. You just have to promise them that they won't get killed and let them eat the people they kill.
Oh, yeah. They'd just be powerhouses of mass destruction.
I don't know. It was strategic because weren't the Wookiees allied with the allies with the rebels, or I mean the Republic? I feel like they were.
But have you ever heard of Benedict Arnold?
I mean, yeah, but Wookiees seem to be very loyal.
Of course, if the Empire hadn't decided to enslave them, maybe they could have had a chance. But again, the Empire is racist, so.
Is that the title
every one of our
episode?
I can make it that.
The
What?
Empire is racist.
Empire is racist.
Interesting.
Again, you don't see that, but you don't see that in these movies. But in like the
In common sense.
yeah, but also in like Rebels and comics, they do not like other alien species, and obviously they enslave quite a bit of them. So one can assume that the Empire is very much racist.
Okay.
Okay, and also more about like the ending of the movie. Did you think it was a happy ending, or do you think that more could come from it?
Could it have been happier? Or like...
Do you think it is a happy ending? Because it wasn't really a cliffhanger.
I would argue it's overly happy. You know why?
Yeah.
Because despite the fact that yes, they did blow up the Empire's super weapon, but they're still in control of the entire galaxy, and so yes, it's a good victory, but also like
It's not good enough.
logically speaking, the Empire's not going to fall for that trick again. Of course, they did, but the Emperor's stupid. But I'd argue it's actually the Emperor's fault because.
But maybe it was all in his plan.
No,
Maybe the wrinkles came from all the stress he had from the plan. Like they were just stress wrinkles.
Yeah. So I think I have a theory as to why Stormtroopers' aim is so bad. Like in the opening scene of the movie when they're boarding the cruiser, like
they're really good.
No, they all fire from their hip. Whereas like the rebel troopers, they're actually aiming down the sights of their gun.
Well, then there's also another theory that.
Go on.
Heck.
Go on.
Heck.
You see, in that opening scene, the Empire completely annihilate the rebels.
Well,
all
just
of them.
in numbers.
They just blast through them. Vader doesn't even do anything. He just sort of walks through like, yeah, look at all these rebel corpses on. Look at me, I'm so cool.
It's purely numbers.
I do agree. I do like the theory. I don't know. I know of the theory that the Empire aimed terribly in order to let them get away, but this kind of feels like poor explaining for bad storytelling.
Well, there's one theory that the Force it curves the Empire's bullets.
What?
That's stupid.
To help.
That's not how the Force.
To help.
I disagree.
Help reset the balance.
To reset
like
the balance. Reset the balance.
I don't believe it, but it's a theory.
Oh.
I hate it. No. No.
Are these podcasts always this high stress?
No, but since we're talking about a movie that's very important, because I don't care about the prequels that much. I don't care about them. But when you're talking about the OG Star Wars films, the classics, the greatest, you must go in depth with them.
I understand.
In depth. This is probably the most
depth.
This is the most deep we've gotten in a Star Wars film in regards to analyzing its.
Is the Empire racist?
Yes.
I just got your title.
Wesley, this video better be called "The Empire is Racist."
It'll be a subtitle.
Going deep into the Empire's racism.
I think if we wanted to go deep into that, we would have to watch Rebels.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Oh.
I refuse.
I wouldn't mind it. Believe it or not. I wouldn't mind it.
Okay.
I don't care.
My theory for Stormtroopers' bad aim is hip firing. Next topic.
That makes sense. But I also have no idea what you're talking about, so.
What? Okay, so what I mean by firing from the hip is like.
No, I get what you mean. I get your explanation. I just don't remember when that happened in the film.
It's just the very first scene when they're boarding the rebel cruiser.
But if they completely annihilate the rebels, why don't they always just hip fire?
It's just, no, they didn't. A bunch of them died. It's just because they had advantage of numbers.
Oh, yeah. I guess you're right. But we also have that iconic line from Obi-Wan in which he points at the sand crawl and he's like, "Those are blaster bolts. Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise." So are we certain? Are we certain of this?
I mean, we've yet to see sand people shoot blasters, so it could be atrocious. I mean, like, surely, maybe they sent out a specialist, like the sand troopers. Maybe those were the people who were sent, so they were more accurate. The higher officers in the stormtrooper ranks.
That doesn't make sense, because the Empire's racist.
What? No.
Yes.
That makes perfect sense.
The Empire's racist, so why would they enlist the help of Tusken Raiders?
No, that's not what I said. It's the sand troopers.
I thought you said sand people.
No. I
heard sand people. I apologize. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Let's move on to something else. I'm tired of talking about Stormtroopers' terrible aim. It's a topic I've thought too deeply about, and it's done terrible things to me. So, what else? What else is there?
I'm ready for another question.
I don't have questions. I have comments. Loads of comments. Loads of ranting on. That's all I do anymore. I rant. I'd also argue.
Wesley has something.
Wesley, speak. I require to hear your words of wisdom. Speak.
What do you think of the original casting plan for most of the cast?
What do you mean?
Like,
Han Solo wasn't originally in it. You know, there are a lot of people who weren't in it.
I don't know much about it. The only thing I know about original casting is that they intentionally had Mark Hamill play Luke because he was a nobody. That's the only thing I know.
You know, the funny thing I find about the cast of these films is that for the majority of the main cast, they all started out as nobodies. And afterwards, obviously, they didn't, when they were done filming and this film came out, it was popular and they weren't. But I'd argue that the best actor in the main cast, which I'd argue is Harrison Ford, went on to do quite a lot of other successful films, while all the other actors didn't really do much notable after this.
What do you mean? Mark Hamill voiced the Joker.
Oh yeah. Besides
the Batman
Mark
cartoon
Hamill as
series.
Joker. But I'd also argue that wasn't solely because of his role in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Bit odd. But yeah, I'd argue Mark Hamill does do really good as the Joker. But
that was sarcasm. I
quite like Mark Hamill's Joker.
I don't know. I never watched it. I just know that he did it.
He voices him in the Batman Arkham games.
Nice.
Which are really good. He's also
we keep getting sidetracked.
Yeah, we keep getting sidetracked. Yeah. I know in the past, me and Wesley have already talked about the score of these films and how they played a big impact in the success. You know, who was it? I'm pretty sure it was Spielberg who said, yeah, George Lucas John Williams basically makes these films with the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Which again, like I said before, the soundtrack really excels at creating a sense of wonder and adventure. Again, helpful for setting up the tone of the film.
Yeah.
Also, technically speaking, this film was the first of this franchise to use the title crawl.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
is
yeah. That's also iconic.
It's quite iconic and in an odd way of setting up the setting for a film. but also an effective one. Because again, it's preparing you for what you're about to witness and this grand adventure of sorts.
I think it's cool that they kept with it for all of the Skywalker Saga films.
Yeah.
That it's
regardless
the one thing that has stayed, one of the things that has stayed consistent throughout all of them.
However, of course, I would argue that they're not always just the opening crawls aren't always as very effective. One example I have always ingrained in my brain is the opening crawl for the Phantom Menace, because it's just a long rant about trade negotiations.
Yeah.
And it makes you go, wow, this film's gonna be boring, isn't it? But yeah. But I'd argue these films do a good job with that.
Yeah. When you don't have an extensive lore developed already, you do with what you can.
Yeah.
And I think one thing to note is that something I noticed, like, the first two main characters we see are C-3PO and R2-D2. That they're the only characters in every single film, and yet they get discredited as minor players in the plot. I think droids need more representation and more credit.
Oh, no.
At least these two. I could care less about BB-8 and the wheel droid, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's this... Never mind, I'll talk about this when we get
Also, the wheel droid's name is D-O. D-O.
D-O. That's weird.
I don't even remember what his purpose in the story was.
Comedic relief.
To be honest, I don't remember Rise of Skywalker that much. I buried it in the deepest, darkest part of my soul, and it's just stayed there ever since. But that's a tale for another day. What else is there to talk about in regards to this film?
I think there's a lot of things.
Yeah, there's quite a lot we could, but also there's quite a lot we could, but don't know how to.
Now let's talk about the cantina.
Yay, cantina. Personally, this is one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. One, the background music, again, that you just played. Really iconic. I quite like it. I also just in general like how the scene displays the absolute weirdness of this universe. You have alien creatures like one that literally looks like Satan. You have a werewolf. This weird furry pig thing. I don't know. Up to this point, you haven't really seen the alien side of this universe yet. But then you see thousands of different species in one single scene.
Yeah.
You also have a... Never mind. I was about to say something.
Okay, question. Who shot first?
The dumbest debate in the entire universe.
This is important.
First, Han Solo or Greedo?
I don't know.
I don't care. I'm going to say Han. I'm going to say Han shot first.
I mean,
I'm going to say that too.
Like, if you look at it, like, Greedo's shot goes above Han's right shoulder or left shoulder. So, like, Han would have had to shoot first for Greedo's shot to be off.
Bro, Wikipedia has a whole page on this.
Oh,
it's a debate so dumb.
It's titled Han shot first.
It's a debate so dumb. The Star Wars even made a Legends comic in which Han Solo goes to trial, and the Emperor is like the Supreme Court, and they're judging based on whether him shooting Greedo was murder, or whether it was self-defense. And so the entire trial is surrounding who shot first, Greedo or Han. Like, yeah, just I don't know. I like the scene because
I think it's good.
It displays the character of Han Solo in a very unique way. He's, again, a smuggler, and our main character hasn't even. Well, actually, yeah, this is after they meet him. So you've already gotten the sense of his personality when they meet him, but then you see him basically performing murder in a cantina, which, again, displays his character, but also displays the sort of atmosphere of this universe. Crimes like these, in which people are just randomly shot in bars, it displays a lot less of a chaotic. It displays a more chaotic, crime-filled world.
Yeah, and like Obi-Wan says, like something like, "Mos Eisley, you'll never see a place with more scum or villainy."
Yeah.
And so I'm sure it's commonplace.
And so it's interesting because we don't return to a scene like this in the trilogy. And so you realize that what these rebels are fighting for, is it worth it? Because it's a pretty screwed up galaxy.
That's one place on one planet.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. But again, as we see, the rebellion don't do a really good job at being rulers, because
are they fighting for planets to be self-governing?
No, from what I assume, I think that they're just fighting to overthrow the Empire and take them out. Which is funny, because I would argue that despite the fact that the Empire are, again, racist and are quite oppressive, they did a better job at governing than the New Republic or the Galactic Republic.
Well,
because the Galactic Republic just decided to go to war.
Yeah. But then again, the Emperor abolished the Imperial Senate.
Yeah.
And then, so they're just allowing the governors to rule and wreak whatever havoc they want them to. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I'd say in this case, you have just let planets do what they want.
Yeah.
Because any government's going to be overthrown, especially on a galactic level. So, yeah, governmental theories about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Also, I think the scene with Jabba is very disgusting. That he was like completely CGI, and sometimes Han Solo got too close. It was very sketchy. And then, like, I didn't notice it until I watched it again today. Han Solo walks behind him and steps on his tail, and he's like, "Oh!" It's very odd.
How dare you? Doesn't call him out or anything. Yeah.
Also, I'd like to point out that Ben does say hello there in this movie. So he's copying old habits. Yes, he does.
Yeah. That's nice.
So, as is custom, I responded with General Kenobi.
Oh. Very good. Wesley, do you have anything to say on the matter?
I don't. I think you guys kind of explained it well.
Yeah. I think I'm quite glad that, and I hope this continues on, but I'm quite glad that the anthology films that we've gotten are focused on this era in history, because in my opinion it's the most fascinating of the bunch. Because the bad guys are largely the ones in control. They're the ones you start out and you realize, oh, the bad guy has already kind of won. And so, again, they're rebellion, so they're trying to fight to retain back the peace they once had, which was eradicated a long time ago, and it's a desperate fight for peace. And I'm quite glad that the anthology films we've gotten have focused on that period in history in which the Empire is in rule.
Yeah.
And
I think
at new perspectives of that conflict that isn't the rebellion side.
Sure. I think one interesting thing that I remember hearing about is that, like, I know it's like Leia's cell number is like 3318 or something like that. And that number is hidden in every film. That it's like something George Lucas puts in everything in the film.
I thought it was 3187.
It was something like that. It's a combination of those numbers. But it's something interesting that should come up again if you pay close attention.
In fact, it was 2187.
2187.
One number off.
Yeah, close enough. I think the cell block was like AA28 or something. So that, I don't know. But also the scene in the garbage compactor where C-3PO thinks they're dying when they're celebrating. I think that's kind of funny. Just almost corny, but still kind of classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the fight scene between Kenobi and Vader, with the lightsaber battles that we've seen now, it pales in comparison.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's another thing I was thinking about was it's quite underwhelming in a way. Which again, you could justify that though by saying that these are two very old men who haven't seen action in years and are fighting with laser sticks. And it's kind of funny when you think of the setting behind it.
Yeah.
Also, Obi-Wan likely hasn't fought in years with his lightsaber. Well,
I mean, he did chop off the dude's arm.
yeah, that wasn't much of a fight. Hey, you're holding my friend at gunpoint? Oh, there goes your arm. It wasn't much of a battle. It was more of a, you need that? Nope. Bye-bye. But yeah, the lightsaber duels are a bit underwhelming.
Yeah.
They do pale in comparison to the films and the games and the cartoons.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the interesting things I remember about this movie.
Yeah. My favorite duels out on the series aren't even from the movies. They're from the Old Republic era stuff.
Yeah.
The Clone Wars has some good ones too.
I'd really like to see some Old Republic era stuff because that'd be amazing. But that's off topic.
I'd say, just to get in my opinion, I know it's very recent. I'm sure if I rewatch other ones, there will be better ones too. That my favorite lightsaber duels, it's between Emperor Palpatine versus Mace Windu in the third movie, and Kylo Ren versus Rey in Rise of Skywalker, like on the ruins of the Death Star with the waves crashing. It's very atmospheric.
See, the reason I like the Old Republic stuff is half the time it's not one Jedi and one Sith fighting. It's like dozens of Jedi and dozens of Sith, and they're just clashing together in this mess.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, I really wish.
Lord of the Rings type battles.
Yeah, but with lightsabers.
Yes,
that would be just. Oh, I'd really like that.
Remake the Battle of Helm's Deep in Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
I rest my case.
Yeah, I think that's all I can think of in regards to the first Star Wars movie, which will always be known as Star Wars in my opinion, because I find the title A New Hope to be dumb.
Yeah.
It's cheesy. It's like Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. That's what these films are called.
When did it get that title?
Not Star Wars Episode 4, not Star Wars Episode 5. It's Star Wars. That's what it is to me.
That's what it should be.
That's what it should be. But yeah.
Yeah, okay.
This film, a classic. Is it good? Depends on who you ask.
Yes.
Perfect? Certainly.
Right.
But is any film perfect? No. Well, maybe.
Definitely. No.
Who knows? We haven't seen enough to find out.
Should we rate it out of 10?
Oh.
Yes.
Yes, rating out of 10, Wesley. 10. Not 5.
Ooh.
10.
Oh. Do you normally do 5?
No, we normally do 10, except for one time in which Wesley said, no, it's 7 out of 5.
That was the first episode.
Yeah, but I thought we were doing it out of 10, which is why I gave it a 5. Because it makes sense. Who rates a movie out of... Who rates a Star Wars movie out of 5? No, 10. 10.
Okay, I give the Star Wars movie an 8.5.
10 being perfect.
8.5.
1 being, this is garbage. It's never.
What about you, Eli?
I would rate this film
Oh. Go, Jackson. I want to hear your
7.
opinion.
It's 7. It's very.
I'd say by itself, watching it now, I would say a 5. But in the scope of the rest of the films, I would say an 8.
Ooh.
So that's my
I'm gonna
opinion.
say. Yeah. It's a 7 for me,
Okay.
which is very good. Perfect? No. Not even my favorite science fiction film, but I do enjoy it. But yeah, I think that's all I have.
That's all I got.
Anything else you have to say, Wesley, on the matter?
No, not really.
Not really? Well,
I mean, I can't really think of anything else.
I
yeah.
think we touched all the most interesting parts. Space
think-
chess.
It's going to be most interesting when we get to the sequels, because I have quite a bit to say about
Oh.
I have many a long ranting to do about the sequel films.
For the record, this doesn't need to be included in the episode. I would like to come back for, if I had to choose one other movie to come back for, I would like to be on for Rise of Skywalker.
Oh,
Okay,
you know
I'll
I'm
put you
gonna
down.
be, I'm gonna be on the Rise of Skywalker.
Well, we're both on this one, so we could just do it again.
Rise of Skywalker. I have many interesting things to say about that film, but that's for another day.
Indeed it is. Zero.
And now for our weekly pickup lines. I'd join the dark side as long as you were there. Someone must have shot you with a phaser set to stunning. Date or date not, there is no maybe. You have Obi wandered into my heart. Are you the Death Star? 'Cause you blow me away. I love you to the Death Star and back. If you were captured by Boba Fett, frozen in carbonite, and handed over to the Jabba Hutt, I would still save you.
The Java Hut.
I'm pretty sure I said Jabba. Okay, you know what? God bless America. God bless George Lucas. We'll see you next week, folks.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many things, some consider unnatural.
Hello and welcome back to the Gonk Droid Fan Club. Today we'll be meeting over Skype and discussing A New Hope. Today we have me, your host, Wesley, and...
Eli Lucas.
And Jackson Hick.
Heck yeah.
Oh, don't say those words. And today we are talking about
A New Hope.
Today.
Wait, what?
Oh.
I thought we were doing Solo.
Oh no.
Oh shoot, we are doing Solo.
Completely contradictory to what you told me last time we did this.
Oh shoot.
Said chronological order. And Solo is next.
I was
Yeah.
prepared for A New Hope.
He's right, you know.
We could just ignore those movies. Like I
Mr. Wolf, that's not helping.
let's just you know what? Let's just
Blooper reel.
we could just record this one as A New Hope and then have it be our New Hope episode, but then not upload it until we get to that point.
So upload 2 episodes today.
I mean, we don't have to upload
you have
2 today.
Solo and Rogue One before this, so you have 2 episodes. You have to technically we would have to upload before this one.
Yeah, so we could record 2 today.
Oh,
Or we could just skip those. We skip the prequels and we just continue on and come back to the prequels.
Just do like
that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The Skywalker saga.
yeah. Let's just do that because that was what my first impression was, and then we went to no, we're doing them in chronological order, and then we went oh no, now we're doing
Mr. Wolf, this is gonna be one heck of a blooper reel.
Yeah.
I watched Solo, Rogue One, and all the original trilogy movies last week, so I came prepared for this to occur though. So
I'm fresh off of watching A New Hope, so.
oh wait, I also watched Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I think that was in the span of 2 weeks though,
Star Wars.
Wow.
maybe 3.
Dedication.
I played Star Wars Battlefront for 3 hours.
Which one?
Is that canon?
Which one?
Both of them.
Both? That doesn't help. There's 5 of them.
Well,
Maybe
the
6.
two for PlayStation.
Which PlayStation?
PlayStation 4.
4. There's gonna be 5 of them. You have to be specific.
The new ones. Mr. Wolf, can we stop recording here for a second?